Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope you're all doing well. We have hit August. Whoa, where is summer going? How about that? And August has like a fall feel to it on this particular day. That's kind of weird for me. I was just talking about that off the air with my guest today, the mayor of Newburyport, Sean Reardon. He's back. How are you, Mayor?
I'm good, Drew. Thanks for having me.
Good. So you're joining me on a very busy week, I know, for you. Thank you for doing it. Yankee homecoming is always a busy week for the mayor of Newburyport. But how's it been so far?
It's been great. No, and I'm a huge fan of Yankee homecoming. Just growing up here and being a part of it. This is the 65th Yankee homecoming this year, which means I've been around for 48 of them. But it's always a good weekend. It looks like the weather's going to be great all week. So there's just a lot going on in the city, and it really celebrates what Newburyport's all about.
Yeah, I was telling you, I took it all in Sunday. I literally spent the whole day here, and I couldn't stop kind of raving about it. I was like, there's just so much to do. And it's all organized, and people are in good spirits, and yeah, the weather helps, but it's just, I don't know, it's just a great day.
Yeah, I think anytime too. I think the live music is a huge, part of that as well. Particularly since I've been hearing this for a lot of people, you don't see a lot of establishments, really tapping into the live music scene. So the fact that you can come down here throughout the day, downtown Newburyport, whether it be in street, Market Square, or over on Waterfront Park, and see live music all week is pretty great.
You've heard that complaint from me. Is that something you're hearing from more people now?
Maybe that was the first person I heard that complaint
Is that something that's coming up though?
A few people have talked about it. Well, it's funny. So I had an event last night for my campaign, but I had Sargent and Company play, and they don't book gigs like they used to. But Ben Sargent was a good friend growing up, and it was just fun getting that group back together, and they really killed it last night. So I had more people coming. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so great. Even the people at Michael's working there, because I used to work for Michael's years ago. Yeah. But I had a lot of people coming up from downstairs, like, oh my God, we haven't had live music here in so long. That's what Michael's used to be all about for a long period of time in the early 2000s. So
a few places like that. The Grog's not back to music either.
Yeah, it's a shame because I think we've got so much going for us here in Newburyport, but that live music is definitely a piece we're missing. Yeah. I think Plum Island's kind of holding it up for everybody else, which is great. They have a lot of opportunities to do that there. Beach Jam on Thursdays out there too, which is fun. But we're missing that piece. So hopefully we can get back to it.
Well, you certainly have the musicians. We talked about that before.
Yeah, absolutely.
A million of them come through here and do a great job. So, but that's just a small piece of the Yankee homecoming puzzle, though. There's music, 3 different acts I think I saw playing at once the other day at different locations. But then you get all the shops. I talked to probably a dozen people who just came there to shop. Yep. They just like to buy things.
No, it's just a great time to be in town. And like I said, the weather absolutely helps. But I think it absolutely gives the restaurants and shops a bump this week. And we have craft fair tomorrow. Actually, that might be today downtown. And then they'll have sidewalk sales too. So it's a great way for shops to do some sales, get some people in, clear out some inventory. So it's just a great time to be in town. There's a lot going on. I talked about this a lot leading up to Yankee homecoming, but growing up, for parents that worked, before the times of just kids having a million different camps that they were in, or just being scheduled to absolute death, like Yankee homecoming was that week that I think locals really looked forward to with kids, because there was just free entertainment for them all week. And that's just what I remember about it. My dad was a teacher, so he was either painting houses or running like a camp on his own, but like his, a lot of his summer was trying to make supplemental income.
Right.
Like Yankee homecoming was just a welcome time of the year, and plus it's like a good in between. We finished about half the summer. You get through Yankee homecoming, and then you've got the rest of August before school starts back up.
And I would imagine, I don't have kids myself, but I'm watching around, and I say, it's good for parents because there's just so much happening that there's kids. You can people watch. There's dogs all around. There's just a million things to just keep kids occupied. So it is a good kind of family event.
Yep.
And like I said, the dogs was one of my favorites. There were dogs all over this city the other day, which I really enjoyed. I had breakfast at the Paddle Inn there right outside, and the dogs were just coming by. That was my favorite part. It was petting dogs and having breakfast. So that was part of Yankee homecoming for me. But no, it's been good. And the concert thing seems to be going off well on the water there.
Concerts have been great. Yep, they've got really great lineup this week.
What happened with that? I remember last time we had you on, I guess it was I guess remind me, there were fears about the project, the building project maybe taking. So
that got paused a little bit.
Okay.
So we're actually going to, the first construction meeting for that is actually August 7th. So we're going to get completely through Yankee Homecoming before everything starts there. So
cool.
Yeah, it just, I think we had to go back. It was like a funding issue, and then we went back and had to get council approval. So it just kind of pushed everything, which actually worked out great as far as I'm concerned, because I wanted to get through Yankee Homecoming without that getting interrupted. So, but we're on track. Right after Yankee Homecoming, we'll get that started back up.
I hadn't even thought about that until I saw a band setting up on the stage on the water there today, and I said, "Oh, I wonder what happened with that." I remember there was some concern
we were worried about power and everything else, and was that area already gonna be fenced up? So it worked out, and so we're gonna get through Yankee Homecoming and hopefully have a great week, and then we'll start next week.
What a beautiful spot! I'll be honest with you, I almost took a nap on that field the other day. It was so beautiful out. The sun was shining, and everybody had blankets and picnics out.
It cooled down too. You get a nice breeze off the water.
It was unbelievable.
It's perfect down there.
It's like, this is the most relaxing place in the world to be here. We had the what do you call those? One of the tall ships in town too. That was pretty cool. Did you get to go on that thing?
I did actually. They were confusing me as part of the crew by the time they left, because I was on that boat so much. But I think they were so great and just so engaged with the community. All the crew was just awesome to work with. I mean, I actually got to go out. I took my son with me, but on that Thursday they arrived early, due to weather. So they got into Newburyport, and then they wanted to have some TV crews come in and film it. So they actually took it back out to the mouth and came back in on Thursday, which they don't typically do. Usually they're just anchored up the whole time or tied up to the docks. But I got to go actually take a ride on it, which was pretty neat. Yeah,
and the crew must like that, right? They loved
it. They loved it. They loved it. They were just a lot of fun, and they just loved Newburyport too, which was great. And I think again, hats off to the Custom House Maritime Museum, Bob Cronin and his crew, Jack Santos. They did a great job, for the 10 days that they were here, and just a lot of great events. And I know they had big crowds every day, and it just really created a nice buzz around 4th of July, which we typically don't have here, which is nice.
Yeah. Do you think as far as like just people getting away, you mean, or what kind of?
Well, because we don't do fireworks or anything.
I see what you mean.
I just thought I think it created a lot of buzz in the city for usually, a long weekend that there's usually not a whole lot going on.
Something
here.
to come and
something to come do.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because there's no fire. I'm actually. Like Danvers used to have a big fireworks show, which is where I grew up. And they don't have that anymore either. I think that's a neighborhood thing. But I will say the fireworks, and they never quite did it. I was never that guy that loved to go see fireworks and just enjoy. And then I had dogs who were scared and just petrified of them as when I become a dog owner in life. Yeah. So I saw the dogs and I was like, you know what? I'm out on fireworks. I don't mind any places.
My dog's the same way.
I think thunder, a lot of them are.
Anything all of a sudden you can tell it's about to thunder because my dog already knows, and it's like going off to find a safe spot.
And I get it. I mean, it's that time of year. It's that I know it for those few couple of days. I'm all good with it. What does bother me is like when we're like now, August 1st. Enough with the fireworks, okay? The dog is. That's my public service announcement.
Yeah, well, we've got big fireworks coming Saturday. So for all you dog owners out there, just.
But that's your time of year. Though.
That's our time of year.
That's your time of year. Like you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't do it any other time.
It's the people that do it on their own and up at in the lakes region up there. It's like every night.
You hear them all the time.
Oh God. I'm main venting a little bit, I guess, more than anything. So that'll be fun. So that was a great show, actually. That fireworks show. I could see it last year, or whatever one I saw. You guys put on quite the show.
They always do a great job. Yeah. I think last year, because of funding, it was a little shorter than usual. I think that's what they'll say, but I didn't notice it.
Was there weather that night too?
A
storm? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I think the weather was pretty good last year. It looks like it's going to be great for Saturday.
Yeah.
And like I said, they had a very successful Brewfest on Saturday night that got in 2 good hours before the rain came. So it looks like that's probably going to be the only rain this week. But that's the major fundraiser for not only Yankee Homecoming and the parade, but for the fireworks. So it looks like we've got funding in place, and we're going to have a really great show come Saturday night.
Is one of the favorites still the bed race come Thursday?
Bed race, I would say I have a lot of favorites. So again, I love something about every day. Again, I've been having to talk about it quite a bit, but bed race is just such a fun event on Federal Street. Although I'm probably going to get complaints that I didn't pave Federal Street first before it. So I am paving it. I am paving it again next year, I believe. But no, it's still a great night, and I love it because all the neighbors get into it. There's just parties all the way down the street, and like I mentioned, the Lions Club, which is a great organization, they sponsor they help run the race tonight, the 5K 10-miler up at the high school, which has just been around for as long as I can remember. And then they also do the bed race. And I've loved the bed race forever. I actually, at one point when I was a kid, I was I was one of the volunteers on my little BMX bike for the timing of it. So like the way they used to do it actually used to go around Federal Street. So it used to start up on High Street. But like I would be on my bike and they'd say go, and like they click the watch, and I'd have to bike down to the finish line and then like hand the stopwatch off to us.
Okay.
I did that one year. It was pretty cool. But
You're part of the staff.
Yeah, they don't do it anymore like that. But that is just a super fun event, and it's nice because it leads up to like Beetlejuice playing on the waterfront Thursday night. So like just downtown is just a huge buzz that night. So Thursday night was always a good one.
Can you, because I say that to people that aren't from here. Like I've been here long enough now, like, and I know everybody here knows. But can you explain that? Because you say like, oh, so what do? They race beds.
Oh, they race beds.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Like people don't get it outside of here.
I've actually done this before too. When my first year at the Port Tavern, we had a bed entered in the race, and I actually ran the race and then ran back and worked the whole night at the Port Tavern.
Oh, no kidding. So were you a bartender there?
Yeah, for like almost 10 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my home base. But yeah, no, you can build your own bed. So they used to have it like a competitive division where you were racing for time.
Yeah.
And then there was kind of a more fun division where like you're just kind of dressing, getting like usually like a big community like event, like people walking down. Like the library did that last year, and like Theater in the Open usually does something like that, like a big event, a crowd of people coming down. So I think they still do something like that. But yeah, no, you build a bed, and if you want to race, they do first, second, and third, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty wild. It's a dead sprint, and then it's like then you've got to find a way to stop it. So.
Yeah, and then people try to make the beds look cool. They spruce it all up, and
a lot of creativity and a lot of fun, fun things that people do. A lot of community organizations. I think Youth Services will definitely have something there. Like I said, the library did it last year. I know like Fuel has done things in the past. So it's just a really fun event. And like I said, I love how much like the street gets into it and has their own parties, and it's just.
That's right. Parties all along the route.
Parties on the route, and it's just a fun night. And last year, This Old House was in town, and they did a bed for it, and they featured it on their This Old House show on PBS. Which was pretty cool too. So that
is cool. The fire department tends to do a good sprint on that.
Yeah, they usually have a couple teams in it. Yep. Coast Guard has done it in the past. I think police has done it in the past. So we'll have to see who signs up this year.
It'll be fun. That's the Thursday night event is the bed race. It's funny you were thinking about criticism paving that road. That's funny that's still on your.
Well, I've been here long enough that I know like there's always people that have something to say.
I can imagine. Again, the mayor of Newburyport, Sean Reardon, joining us. How often do you have to pave a road like that? That's a main road here in a city.
That's a pretty main road. Yeah. So I mean that's one of the things I've tried to start since taking office. I kind of instituted a
infrastructure.
5-year rolling streets plan, and it just I just think infrastructure is what you put into it, right? So I wanted to put a plan in place. I wanted it to be transparent and online, so people could actually see where their street landed on the plan, and then we're adding a year each year, right? So we're gonna rolling it. I mean, it's gonna take over 20 years to catch up on our streets and sidewalks, but
something the whole country's dealing with, though, right? I mean,
absolutely. No, this isn't a unique problem to Newburyport, and it's just honestly, it's just about priorities. Like, what are you spending your money on? And I wanted to make sure when I took office that I made that a top priority. So we got 2 years of funding for that plan in place. I've got a bond into City Council right now that they'll talk about this fall that should set up the next 5 years, and I really just wanted a pocket of money. This will give us about $2 million each year for the next 5 years to try to catch up on these streets and sidewalks. Mostly streets. I would say it's mostly streets. Sidewalks, I'm noticing, is another whole issue because sometimes you have a good street but a bad sidewalk. So I've tried to create another pocket of revenue from the budget to go towards sidewalk safety, traffic mitigation, those types of things. So, and hopefully we can add to that over the next 5 years, because ideally, in these next 5 years, we'll get most of the bad streets out of the way that are really bad, and then it's about maintaining after that, and then hopefully we can, keep that funding going towards streets and sidewalks.
I would imagine it's a point of pride, though, for a lot of city workers, any city worker, that everybody just loves walking through downtown Newburyport. And I know there's a lot of, but there's probably a focus on downtown, and there's probably some side roads that are in rough shape, whatever. Yeah. But when people talk about some of the best walking cities around here, I mean, you hear Boston, and like Newburyport's right there with it.
We're very lucky. It's amazing all the people that I talk to who have either just moved to Newburyport or retirees that are coming in, and the reason why they chose Newburyport. I always ask, how did you end up in Newburyport? And that's really probably the number one thing I hear is just like, oh my God, it's a walkable city. Yeah. You get close to downtown. Now we've got the MIVA bus too that's going around, that's free. I mean, there's just a lot of ways to get around. It's a great area to bike as well. So I mean, we're we're a great community to kind of keep the car parked and get around and enjoy everything that Newburyport has to offer.
And I think for a lot of reasons, people are looking for that, right? I mean, I don't know if it could be 3 years locked in the house of COVID. It could be just a new generation of people that are maybe it's very a green footprint aware or whatever, and they prefer to be on a bicycle than in a car, or like whatever be the reason. Especially all that new generation of kids coming up. I know. I work in Medford with a bunch of kids. They bike to work every day. Yeah. It's like it's just it does seem to be kind of a movement in that regard.
Sure.
Everybody wanted their first car when I was in high school, right? It's like, I couldn't wait to get my hands on the keys and drive the car and get the license and all that stuff. And it doesn't necessarily seem, probably is in some cases, but it doesn't necessarily seem to be the widespread goal for everyone anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're lucky here too because when you talk about biking, I mean, having the coastal trails and having like the connections to Amesbury and Salisbury's rail trails. I mean, there's just so many ways to get around. My dad's a huge biker. I know he's out every day, but we just have so many different ways to get to a lot of cool places, right? Yeah. I mean, like, and even just taking a bike ride out to Plum Island is pretty neat. Yeah. And now if you could do that and like ride through Salisbury's, rail trail and then end up on Amesbury's, and all of a sudden you're in Amesbury, and you can have a good day there and get an ice cream at Hodgie's and come back. So we're very lucky that we have so many different ways to get around.
Yeah, I would say outside, fresh air, it's all good. How's Dad doing, by the way? He missed me?
Great. He does. Yeah, he does. He's getting geared up for his next run.
Yeah, we call the basketball game together this year.
Yep.
I mean, his father and I.
No, he's doing great. He's helping out with the Parks Department a little bit, Parks Division.
Oh, okay.
So he's out there painting benches and.
Is he one of those guys? I get the impression with him he is not good at sitting around doing nothing.
No, he is a keep moving guy. He's always been like that.
There you go. You mentioned doing a fundraiser for yourself the other night. So that stuff eventually, it's crazy. This all moves very quickly, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. No, it's such a funny thing, and I'm very thankful that I have a 4-year term, right? Because a lot of my colleagues, mayors around the Commonwealth, are gearing up for an election right now. So
it's because most of them are two.
Most of them are still 2-year terms. So it's great for me this year. It looks like we're going to have a lot of competitive races here in Newburyport, which wasn't the case the last time I ran, right? So there's a lot of city councilors and school committee members that are going to have competitive elections this year, which I think is great. And it's going to be nice to kind of sit back and watch what happens there. And I think I've done a good job of articulating like the things I want to do. So I'm just telling everyone, pay attention to who's out there this year and listen. And and I also say, like, if you don't like what I'm doing, like, that's a good reason to come out and run too. So we're just trying to do good things here in Newburyport. And like, again, having an event last night, I'm just trying to do a couple things throughout the year, and you build that war chest, and in a couple of years I'll be hopefully in a good position to make another run at it.
I've always thought with the mayor position, and maybe it's not. Let's keep the basketball analogy, because I remember asking a college basketball coach about. I'm not even sure if I asked the question, but he went off on the tangent and talked about how it was about coaches getting fired early in their tenure, maybe 2 years in or whatever. And he said, if you're not giving a college coach 4 years to implement the whole plan, to bring the whole recruiting class in, to do all this, you're doing the program a disservice.
Sure.
I kind of feel like that could translate to your position as well, right? Do you like the 4-year term?
Absolutely. Like, I think back to that first year, right? And I had a very close election, right? So I didn't have a mandate to do anything really. And then I had some counselors, I would say probably 6 of the counselors out of the 11 were very vocal and supportive of my opponent. So when you're on a 2-year term, they can make that first year for sure incredibly difficult to get things done. So I'm very thankful that I have the 4 years. And plus, again, I don't think our council was like that. I think we were able to get a lot of good things done that first year. Yeah. And then I think you get past the kind of that politics of the last election, and I haven't really felt that as much this year at all. I think it's just been about hopefully working with my team, working with our department heads, trying to put forth good plans to bring to city council, and hopefully gaining some consensus on how to move forward on a lot of these things.
And even take politics and personalities out of the mix. And I know that's a whole huge potion of stuff there, but I mean, even just for you, like, it's a new job.
Sure.
I mean, it's tough. You got to find your own footing and how you want to do things. It's stuff that comes at you that you just weren't expecting. Like everybody who's ever changed a job knows what that's like.
Right. Right. And I said that too. Like, I mean, I wasn't mayor before this, and the person I ran against wasn't mayor before this either, right? So you're bringing a certain set of skills to the position, but then you do need time to get to know your staff, get to know all your different department heads, figure out what your priority is going to be, and how you're going to attack these initiatives that you want to put in place. Like the Streets and Sidewalks plan, like a new home for Newburyport Youth Services.
Yeah.
It gives you time to map out how you're going to build that consensus. What's the compromise going to be to hopefully move a lot of these things forward.
No doubt. How many years did Donna Holiday end up doing?
She was 12.
She did 12.
I think that's tied for like the longest.
The longest. You got 12 on your radar. You want to? You got 16.
I'm going to go 4 at a time. I definitely know I want to do a different another term after this, and so we'll go from there. But like this, when you have a dream job and you get it. I don't know what, I get asked that a lot. I'm just really thankful to be in this position. And, again, for someone who grew up here, it's just, you're the greatest honor of your life that I get to be able to do this every day and think about ways that can make my hometown even better.
Yeah, it's well said. Again, the mayor of Newburyport, Sean Reardon, joining us. Any surprises so far this summer? I know last year, I'm thinking back, I know immediately we just had to talk about all the water safety and all that because we had a rough start to last summer in a few different ways. But anything that's jumped off the page as far as summer surprises?
No, it's actually been a good summer. In fact, in that there hasn't been this big thing going on. We had a ton of rain, so I think hats off to our DPS department because it's hard to keep up when there's this much rain, right?
Yeah.
Last year we were dealing with a drought and everything was burnt up because we had 90 degree days throughout all of July. So we haven't had a ton of that. It's just really just kind of catching up and kind of doing a lot of things internally about like setting us up for success in the fall and making some good plans. We got a lot of good things going on, so and a lot of projects about to start too, and most of them are going to start this fall. So just kind of getting ready for that.
That's true. I'm always thinking with you because you have to be. It doesn't surprise me to hear you already talk about fall. I'm sure you already have winter plans in your head a little bit too. How do you balance the idea of being the mayor and having to always be 10 steps ahead, but also like live in the moment? Here you are, Yankee homecoming, and you're gonna, what? It's summertime too. Like let's get the family. I see you out with your family all the time, out in the community.
Yeah, no, it's a tough balance for sure, and I actually talked about that a lot at the event last night. You can't do a job like this without having, family buy-in, but you also have to make sure you make, I got to be a good husband and a good father, and hopefully, a lot of things I get to do in the community, they can be a part of that too. So that we try to do that as much as possible. But it's definitely a balancing act, and I think again, good planning leads to good results, right? So I think we're always, no matter what the initiative is or what the department is that we're working on, it's about the planning that hopefully will lead to good results. So you do have to keep, I have a big whiteboard in my office. I know what projects are going to start this year, and I know, the planning that's going to have to go into those to make them successful. But I've got a list of things that we haven't even got to yet. But I know that's going to be on the agenda this year at some point. So, and it's just having good people around you. I'm very lucky to have the staff that I do at City Hall. Christine Jackson, Angela Levine, Kim Turner have been invaluable to me, and they're just a big part of the planning process of everything that we're trying to do.
Yeah. Is it weird because I don't think technically you get maybe you don't have to go into the office every day, but I mean, you really don't get a day off on this job.
No, you don't, and that's fine. Like I said, I knew that going into it. I mean, even when you're not in the office, you're on, right? And like I said, I really like the days that I don't have to be in the office, that I'm out. Like right now, I think I've got like 4 or 5 different things before I'll be able to get back to the office.
Thanks for adding this one.
That's right, no problem. I am going to try to take, I think like not the week after Yankee Homecoming, the following week. I think it's the week of the 15th. I am going to try to stay out of the office, but you're always going to be available. So I mean, we're lucky. We live in a place that you can take a staycation in, right? So I think we'll probably go up to North Conway maybe a night, but besides that, it'll be like the one week that my kids won't be in anything, and then I'll try to stay at the office and we'll get some good family time.
What do you do? Just make sure you keep the cell phone on and say only if it's really important, please. Is that the deal with that? Do you ever find yourself? I'm just curious about how you deal with it personality-wise, and everything. Like, just I know that there's got to be moments, whether it be projects or dealing with people, maybe politics don't align, whatever be the case, where you just kind of have to say, no, I'm stepping away from this one for a little bit. Like I need to sleep on it, or
that happens.
Take a little Sean time.
No, that definitely happens. I mean, even just being out and about, I have people come up to me all the time that want to talk about things, and I get it. I mean, I get 2 things. One, I know I'm not going to make everybody happy, which is why I just want to try to be as transparent and open and be, do my best as far as communicating what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I know that there are times that emotions get involved too, and so you do have to step away because whatever the reason, like maybe you're not going to see eye to eye on this, which is the big thing about trying to find that consensus, find that compromise, and how to move some of these things forward.
Are there certain things right now in Newburyport that seem to be more polarizing to you, that issues or?
Well, I think this fall, people will be talking a lot about youth services.
Yeah.
So right now, we're moving forward on design for a new, I'm calling it a recreation and youth services department. We're actually going to submit paperwork. This department was actually never officially set up by a department by the last administration. So I think it's a good thing to formalize that within our city council. So we're going to submit an administrative order and map out what we think that department's going to be moving forward. When we consolidated Parks Division under DPS last year, one of the pieces of that was adult recreation, and so that's going to fall under youth services now, which is why we think a name change is in order. We're going to call it recreation and youth services. And I just think there's a lot of opportunity, whether it be pickleball or adult basketball or senior recreation classes, hiking. I mean, I think there's a lot of good things that we could do around adult rec that we're not doing right now. Yeah. And we have the staff in place down at youth services to do that. But I think that feeds into the justification for this ask I'm making of the community for a youth center, a youth and recreation center. So, I mean, I think that all feeds into that. So that'll be a big conversation. And I think the idea is to hopefully have something in front of council before the election. Mm-hmm. So then I think people will just know where people stand on it and what the issues are. And maybe that will play into, some of these elections across the wards here in Newburyport. I think that's a big one. I mean, I think short-term rental units will come out this fall. That's kind of a touchy issue in town.
This is a touchy issue in every town.
Everyone's kind of dealing with it. And there's no really consistency across the board about how communities are dealing with it.
That must scare you and every elected official. When you start, I mean, I know the mayor of Boston was just talking about it the other day. This is a massive, people cannot afford to live here. Young kids coming out of college can't afford to live here. It's huge. Older people can't.
I say it all the time. I was really lucky to be able to come home and, raise a family, buy a house. I mean, it really, it wasn't easy. Yeah. I mean, we did it at a time. I think back in 2006 when we got married, I think we bought the last house in Newburyport that was like under $320,000. Wow. Right on High Street, at the corner of Cutting and High, little ranch. Just got married. Jesse was expecting our first. And, we struggled for the 9 years we were there. I mean, I was working 2 or 3 different jobs at a time. Like I said, I was bartending down and doing my day job, working with schools all across Massachusetts. And I just look back saying, I mean, thank goodness we were able to stick it out because it allowed us to get our next house.
Right.
And, again, so many years later, now I'm the mayor. But, I mean, it was a struggle. And I realized that. And I know talking to so many people who grew up here, they would love to be back here. But, it's just hard to do. I've got a sister who's her husband, they're both from Newburyport. They're in the Air Force, and he's winding down in his career. So I mean, they're thinking about like what next steps are, and they would love to come back here, but they know it's difficult to just come in here and get a house. One, we don't have the housing stock, and 2, it's just affordability. Yeah. So that's something that my office we're continuing to talk a lot about. We're talking a lot about it with our state and federal partners as well, Senator Tarr and Representative Shan. Looking for different ways we can kind of leverage some, because we don't have a lot of space either, right?
It's a part of the country where there's just so many people live, and there's
tough.
cities.
We're like 86% built out here in Newburyport. But we do have some things coming up. There's some projects that we're hopefully going to be able to leverage that will add to a little bit to our affordable housing stock. But it's a struggle.
It's one of the things that comes up. I know with a lot of the college kids that come in here, it's like they look at like, I don't know what kind of job is going to allow me to have to move to Kansas or something. It's like,
well, my son's 11. He's got it all figured out. He's going to get our house, when he gets older, and we're never going to leave.
I wish I was thinking that stuff at 11. That would have been helpful. Again, the mayor of Newburyport, Sean Reardon, final minute with him because he's got a very busy day and he's going to run here with all the Yankee home. You mentioned the pickleball thing. I knew it was bound to come up. That was a priority of yours. You're trying to.
We have a checklist, right? We have to say pickleball at least once every time.
You got to say it. Is it's crazy. Everybody I know is playing. Everybody.
It is. Yeah, it's great. They've started it back out here at the senior center. Yeah. We just resurfaced courts at Cashman and Atkinson, which is great. We just did the basketball courts over down at Cashman as well. It's been great seeing all these projects happening all over the city. Yep. But the idea is hopefully, I'm going to hopefully submit next year for 2 to 3 more courts down at the Knock for tennis. Because those 2 courts came out beautiful down there, and we'd like to have 4 or 5 courts down there for the tennis team, and then these other areas in town we can probably make for pickleball. Like I think Atkinson would be great if we could have mixed use up there. just because it's not right in the middle of a neighborhood. I think you could get away with having it there.
Yeah.
And I just think we need a better plan across the city about where we can play pickleball. But yeah, no, it's everywhere. People are loving it.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I think I went through this in the 80s when it's just tennis. U.S. tennis was so big when I was growing up, and my dad was the tennis coach.
Yeah.
He'd run tennis camps in the summer, and he used to do a youth tennis tournament as well that we always loved. That was a great week down at Atkinson Common. So I'm comparing it to that now because I just think every day I'm hearing about somebody else trying pickleball and loving it, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. So if we can on the city side have a better plan in place about how everyone can still enjoy some free access to pickleball courts, then that's what we're going to try to do.
I'm not sure if you caught it. I had the Newburyport girls tennis team in here.
Yeah.
And
yep.
they said, if we're focusing on getting some of these tennis courts and back-to-back state champions here.
That's a big deal.
They're doing their part, right?
Yeah. I was on 2 8-4 teams in high school.
There you go.
It would have been nice to have some new courts, but to have 2 state champions at the tennis program is just really incredible.
How about that? Huh? That's hard to do.
Hey, we had tennis, track, and lacrosse this spring, and how often you have three state titles in a season, and then I think we had 4 for the whole year with boys soccer. So pretty good time. Newburyport's we're in a good spot all across the board in all of our sports.
And on top of that, I'm just talking tennis because I just had those girls on, but it's those state titles are not just 7 or 8 kids and there's a couple stars. It's like they had 30 kids come out or something to play tennis.
Well, my daughter was on the JV team and they had over 20 kids. So it's just clear that the programs and good. There's a lot of kids in town playing. I think the racket club has done a great job. Newburyport tennis club.
Yep.
So we have a lot more kids coming up. The boys team had gone away for a couple of years, and they were able to field the team.
When I first started here, that's all I could remember. I was like, the girls team has 40, and there's no boys team. What?
It's crazy. Yeah. No, my dad was the boys coach for a long time, and then they just he had retired and they had somebody else in there, and then they just kind of lost their numbers.
Yeah.
But it's cycling back, so it was great to see them back this year, and they had a really competitive team this year too. So
let's cycle back and keep it that way. We'll balance it out with a good program going forward. Last thing, what do people need to know if they're coming in? We got plenty of days left here, Yankee homecoming. So
come in. The weather's going to be great. There's stuff going on each day. Again, Thursday's a huge night down here. Wednesday night we have Salem Boys on the waterfront. They're a really great band as well. Yep. Super Saturday, we've got a road rally. We've got Family Day at the Knock. That's a great day. We have fireworks that night. Mm-hmm. Again, downtown we'll have something going on every day. And then Sunday, it all ends. And we have the High Street Mile, which is an awesome race to run. It starts at the Atkinson Common. It finishes at the high school. And then we've got the parade to finish it all off that I'll be marching in with some other elected in my family. But a lot of good things going on. Just come to Newburyport, find a good place to park. I think that's probably the most challenging thing. And luckily, you can walk around to everywhere once you get down here.
Awesome. Thank you for making some time, Mayor Sharon Reardon, on a very busy week. Nice enough to stop in here for a few minutes. We appreciate it, as always, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you. All right, we'll touch soon. Live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive, May Power. Thank you for all the good work. We appreciate you. See you soon.